Hello lovely people, welcome back to my channel. How is everyone doing? I'm asking these rhetorical questions, and I realize that based on wherever you are located, things are pretty all over the place. Some places are doing better than others, but what can I say? Let me know what it's like in your area. I know the US is not doing pretty great, especially in like some states in particular. Europe might be doing a little bit better, but hey, I just read news today that people coming back from like holiday in Spain back to the UK need to be going into quarantine. So what can I tell you folks? But I do have news, obviously, because that's why you're here. I do have news regarding the month of August. So first and foremost, let me take you through the major astrological events for the month, and then we can dive into every single one of the 12 signs. And before I forget, as a true internet mom, folks, listen to both your rising sign and your sun sign when we dive into the horoscopes for each sign, because you might find that you are relating a lot more to your rising sign. Now, what is going on in August? First and foremost, we're going to kick off the month with a full moon in Aquarius on August the 3rd. Then we have, towards the second part of the month, we've got a new moon happening in the sign of Leo. Uranus is going into retrograde, people. It's kicking off on the 15th of August. Mercury's going to be super active this month, and whoever is ruled by Mercury, so I'm referring to Virgo, Gemini's, suns, and risings in particular, you might see that your month has many flavors, I would say. Mercury is transiting through Cancer until the 5th of August. Then it's going into Leo from the 5th till the 20th. And then it's moving into Virgo from the 20th of August onwards. We have a few more things happening that I consider noteworthy in the month of August. Big sigh here. Mars. You know Mars, god of war and all of that. It's squaring Jupiter and Pluto and Saturn throughout the entire month of August. It's starting to square each of these planets at different times, but effectively it's going to be in a square within the orb, obviously within a few degrees of orb, throughout the entire month of August. So there's going to be clashes, folks. There's going to be clashes like no one's business. We also have a little piece of like good news regarding Mars, because the month is very tense generally, but there will be a time and there will be moments of respite and moments of enjoyment as well, peppered throughout the month. And I gotta say, Mars is responsible partially for these because it's going to be trining the sun in Leo from the 4th of August till the 27th of August. Last but not least, from the 11th of August till the 25th of August, I told you I got good news. I start with like the less happy news, and I end on a high in life and in my monthly horoscopes. From the 11th of August till the 25th of August, Venus in Cancer is going to be sextiling Uranus in Taurus. So this is an incredibly beneficial kind of like aspect as well, because, and I say this to people, whenever we have one of the big players on our side, so to speak, so aspecting one of the personal planets such as Venus, we can really expect good and massive kind of like pleasant surprises, especially when we're talking about Uranus. So without further ado, folks, let us dive into your monthly horoscopes. We're going to kick it off, as per usual, with the lovely Aries. Now, my lovely Arians, it's gonna be a full-on month for you, so to speak, and it's gonna be a mixed bag, but I gotta say, why am I saying that it's gonna be a mixed bag? You might be very annoyed this month. You might experience quite a bit of frustration this month. But on the other hand, you might experience some very enjoyable moments as well, and some incredibly pleasant, unexpected surprises. So August starts for you guys with a full moon on the 3rd of August happening in the sign of Aquarius in the 11th house. The 11th house is associated with long-term plans, objectives, dreams. It's also associated with friends and with groups of people that we are a part of. And this full moon is going to be squaring Uranus in your 2nd house of earned income and money, and also the house of values. So I gotta say this. It is very possible that around the 3rd of August, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, a certain plan, a certain objective that you had made a while back in regards to your future may reach a culmination, may reach a certain level of completion. But I have to say, it might not be necessarily the type of completion that you expected. It might have to do with you having to reassess this particular objective, this particular plan for the future, because it might require a little bit or a lot more money than initially budgeted. And, I told you that you might be super frustrated, especially you, Aries, with Mars in your sign throughout the entire month. You might feel a high level of frustration with financial delays or unexpected expenses, or literally a piece of news coming out of nowhere because we've got Uranus involved, and Uranus brings with it surprises, pleasant, unpleasant, but hey, you're in for a surprise. And it may be postponing the plans that you have made in the past with your friends. It may have an impact on plans that you had made with friends in order to go out, to have fun, possibly even travel a little bit. You may have organized something that is no longer going ahead, or it's not going ahead in the formula that you wanted it to go ahead. So I gotta tell you, I don't see you necessarily being very pleased at this full moon. On the other hand, I want to raise the fact that throughout the entire month, Mars is going to be squaring planets in Capricorn till pretty much the end of the year, but we're talking about the month of August here. So there may be a general sort of frustration with slow processes, possibly with career progress as well, or with lack of the expected career progress, or the expected kind of like movement forward in a certain career related matter. You might also become very frustrated throughout this month with bosses and with people in positions of authority, and also possibly with institutions as well. And I gotta tell you, Aries, no matter how annoyed you get, and no matter how much you try to like push to like move things forward, this is a marathon. It is not a sprint. So if you burn yourself out, and if you stress yourself out, and if you're like, no, I can't believe like this is happening, I'm pulling my hair out because everyone is like so slow, and I had made plans and they're not going ahead in the way that I had envisaged them, you're only gonna cause yourself damage, because things are moving slower and slower and slower. Now, I do have good news. Like I said, I saved the good news for last, generally. So, Mars in your sign throughout this month. So you're very energized, and you might feel more impatient and more action prone than usual. It's like, go, go, go. I don't have time to lose. Although the universe seems to have other plans. However, Mars, from the 4th of August till the 27th of August, is going to be trining the sun in your 5th house. The 5th house is associated with fun and games and enjoyment and creativity, and it's also associated with romance. So when you feel like the frustration is reaching limits that you can no longer handle, spend time with people who make life enjoyable for you. If you've got a partner, spend time with your partner and literally live in the moment. Dance if you can at home. It doesn't matter. Spend quality time with people that make you feel affectionate and that make you feel loved. And I gotta say, Mars trining the sun, we're talking here about some passion as well. We're talking here about some steamy moments as well. So you might as well like have fun and enjoy yourself and allow yourself to kind of like take a bit of a break from what is happening in the outside world with your long-term plans, with your career and all of that, and just focus on the now, focus on living in the present. That's what this is all about. And this sort of like harmonious aspect between Mars and the sun is absolutely encouraging this. Not to mention that I would also recommend for your health, wellness, and well-being, and for your peace of mind, I would recommend creating things and focusing on manifesting your creativity. And again, being present. Because when we play a game or when we create something, we are sucked into the act of creation. So that is exactly what you need this month, my dear Aries. Now, I also have some more good news, obviously. On the 19th of August, there is a new moon happening in Leo in your 5th house of fun and love and romance and kids and creativity, trining Mars in the 1st house. So it's like all this buildup from the 4th of August till the 19th, it might be inspiring you to live more like this, to live more in the present, to enjoy the moment a lot more. It might inspire you to be like, you know what, I enjoy spending time with this person. I'm gonna spend more time with them. I enjoy being surrounded by these people. I can actually have fun now, in the moment. I don't need to like make plans for like the next 6 years. Life is about living in the now. And you seem to be absorbing that sort of like attitude and quality. And I gotta tell you, it's making life easier, and it's also altering, I would say, how you present yourself to the world and how you identify in the world. Not to mention that this new moon in Leo is like a fabulous new beginning, a fabulous new chapter for you when it comes to love. And especially if you are, I would say it doesn't matter if you're single or if you're coupled up. It's breathing in a new lease of life into your love life with a new partner or an existing partner. And if you are working on something creative in general, and if you have been like manifesting your creativity throughout this time frame, you might be very satisfied with where this has gotten you, where this sort of like allowing creativity to flow through you process that has been happening throughout the month, where this has gotten you to. And you might be inspired to start fresh and to start building things for the year ahead in that sort of creative output part of your life. Now, last but not least, from the 11th of August till the 25th, Venus is going to be in your 4th house. It's going to be in Cancer, and it's going to be trining Uranus in your 2nd house of money and earned income. This is good. This is very good. You might be bringing in the cash. You might be bringing in money from an activity that happens within the home. Or you may have made some sort of like investment in your home, in your residence that is paying off. Or another possibility is you might make because you all of a sudden have the money, you might make a significant investment in your home, and it makes you feel much more at peace and much more at ease and much more in harmony with your home place and with your residence, and it's making you enjoy the time that you spend at home more. And I gotta tell you, between this time frame, it also looks like the relationship with your family is taking a very positive and surprisingly enriching good turn. It's like you might feel like closer than ever. You might feel more tied to each other, but in a good way than ever. And you might feel very, very grateful for having the family that you have, Aries. So I think you've got enough reasons to enjoy the month ahead. Now, let us move on to my dear Taurians. Okay, word of advice. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. I think that's what they say. I'm going to explain why I am saying that in a jiffy. So on the 3rd of August, we've got a full moon happening in Aquarius in your 10th house of career, which is squaring Uranus in your 1st house. Now, whenever we got Uranus involved, I dare say, things can get a bit of an explosive kind of streak to them. You might feel all of a sudden that, you know what, I am completely, and I'm talking on your behalf here, Taurus, you might feel like, oh gosh, I am completely done with this boss, I am completely done with this workplace, or you know what, I am completely done with this profession. No more. Goodbye. All of a sudden, you might feel like this need, my dear Taurus, to break free from the career kind of like setting, which you may find very restrictive at this time. And you might be like, you know what, it's not representing who I am anymore. I can't identify with it anymore. I cannot abide by this external authority anymore because it is not in alignment with my authentic self. And this can play out in a variety. So this is like the archetypal underlying theme, which is playing out around the 3rd of August, 3 days before, 3 days after. In the material world, so in a day-to-day kind of environment, it can play out in a variety of ways, which is you might decide to quit your job or something very big might happen and quite like disappointing to you. Might happen in the workplace, especially related to people who are higher up than you, like a boss or the leaders of the company or whatnot. And you're like, I've had enough. I've made up my mind. I'm gonna pack up and go. You might not decide to like quit on the spot, but your mind is made. And you might feel very constrained. You might be like, I can't breathe here anymore. I need to break free from it. Now, this may happen if you are in touch with your authentic higher self. If you're less in touch with your authentic higher self, it may feel like something that is happening to you from the outside, something that you don't have control over, but which is in the long term contributing to you embracing more, both in like a private environment and in a public sphere environment, your authentic self. So what may happen is you might be made redundant, or like you might get fired or something of that nature. And I gotta tell you, if it does happen, don't cry and do not despair at all, Taurus, because you are becoming freer. You are stepping away from constraints and societal expectations and external expectations that no longer represent who you are. And even if it may feel like a blow and it may feel very disruptive to your life, I gotta tell you, probably like 6 months to a year from now, you're gonna be very, very grateful that it happened. You might have a big row with a boss or with someone in a position of authority. So this is all very, very possible in terms of manifestation on the material realm. Now, all month, throughout the entire month, Mars, which is placed in the sign of Aries, which is in a hidden part of your chart. It's in the 12th house where you can't really see it, but you're feeling the influence of it, and you're like, oh no, like where's this like frustration coming from? Where's this sort of like hidden enemy coming from? So all month, Mars in your 12th house is going to be squaring the planets in Capricorn in your 9th house. Now, what does that mean? There may be frustrations throughout the whole month of August that have to do with traveling. So if you had made any sort of like travel plans, long distance travel plans, I'm warning you so that you don't get super annoyed and like super angry at what's going on. There may be unexpected obstacles and obstacles that you could not have possibly prepared for coming up. It's like one thing after another, and it's like, oh God, like what on earth is happening? There may also be throughout the entire month issues with legal matters. So if you are involved in any sort of like legal like process or trial, or if you are waiting on some sort of like legal kind of like decision to be made, to be passed by a judge or whatnot, I gotta tell you, first and foremost, there may be delays. Secondly, if a decision does get made, it might not necessarily be the one that you expected it to. And last but not least, if you wanted to embark upon a new course of study, and if you have been making plans about like studying possibly abroad, but literally just like jumping into like higher learning, jumping into a university year, jumping into like a master's degree or whatnot, there seem to be also some hidden challenges in regards to this area of your life. What I do advise is take your time and take things in your stride, because you are dealing with things that you can't just like push past as much as you'd want to, as much as you're like, I'm the bull and no one can stop me. You might find that like a very pushy approach does not work in your favor, and you have to be more fluid, you have to be more adaptable. And there's no point in like fighting too much. What I would recommend is kind of like re-strategizing if possible, looking for alternatives, looking at your options and trying to be more flexible, because the more you push, the bigger the wall, I would say. Now, like I said, I've saved the good news or like the most positive aspects for the second part of the horoscope. So Mars in your 12th house may be bringing also some very happy developments, because it's going to be trining the sun in your 4th house of home and family from the 4th of August till the 27th of August. When things out in the world, when plans about like studying, traveling, higher education, legal issues don't go in the direction in which you want them to go, it's a good time to reflect. It's a good time to pull your English. It is a good time to pull yourself out of too much interaction with higher authorities, with institutions, with issues that are of public nature. And it is a good idea to spend time at home. It's a fabulous idea to reconnect with your family. It's a fabulous idea to retreat, to reflect, to meditate if possible. It is a fabulous idea to focus your energy on your immediate surroundings, on your family, on the place that you live in. And I gotta say, you might be incredibly surprised in a very positive way, especially around the new moon in Leo on the 19th of August, which is happening in your 4th house of home and family. And it is also trining Mars in your 12th house. there seem to be some unexpected good news and support from the family, and you might feel more loved than ever, and you might feel like, gosh, like this is where I should be spending more time in. It doesn't all have to be like go, go, go. It doesn't all have to be like career and like chasing knowledge and chasing the truth and like cruising and like traveling the world, because those sorts of areas might not go as planned this month. And it's a good thing, and it's actually possibly an indicator that you need to take a break, take it easy, spend time with yourself, spend time with your family, allow yourself to feel and acknowledge all the emotions that you are feeling, possibly buried emotions. Allow yourself to be vulnerable with people who are close to you. And you might even feel like you're going through a process of emotional healing throughout this whole time frame. You might have been like very triggered towards the beginning of the month, but now it's like, okay, this is why I'm feeling triggered by it. I have been like repressing my anger for quite some time. I have been trying to like be all go, 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 and no time for myself, and no time for like my private life, and no time to rest. Well, you're gonna have to rest, and you're gonna enjoy it. I gotta say, Taurus. Now, last but not least, from the 11th till the 25th of August, Venus is going to be in your 3rd house, and it's going to be trining Uranus in your 1st house. So, I really like this aspect because, first and foremost, Venus is your ruler. So you have a very special affinity, and you are much more susceptible, if that's like the right word, to Venusian transits and aspects. And the fact that it's trining Uranus, the planet of surprise, makes it even better, I would say. You may be going through like a sudden phase of enlightenment, and this has to do with the people that you have around you, people in your community, maybe colleagues, maybe your extended family, such as cousins, such as aunts. You may feel like the connections that you've made and the people who you surround yourself by throughout this time frame are inspiring you, and they are teaching you something, and they are encouraging you to communicate, and they are encouraging you to feel the feelings, and it's actually making you feel very empowered, first and foremost. And secondly, expressing your authentic self is actually contributing throughout this entire period. It is contributing to strengthening the relationships that you have with people around you. There may also be much better than ever communication throughout this period with the people that you are involved in a relationship with, especially romantically. But in general, expressing who you really are is gonna yield some very positive responses and some very positive feedback, and that might consolidate the feeling within you. It's like, okay, yeah, it's okay to be feeling all these things that I'm feeling. It's okay to want to like regain my freedom. It's okay to feel constrained by things that I didn't feel constrained of in the past. So Taurus, I believe August is gonna be pretty decent for you. Let me know how it's going. My dear Gemini suns and Gemini risings out there, what is going on for you next month? A lot. The answer is a lot is going on for you and for everyone else. So, first and foremost, the month kicks off on the 3rd of August with a full moon happening in the sign of Aquarius. And it's going to be happening in your 9th house, squaring Uranus, placed in the sign of Taurus, in your 12th house. Now, to say that this new moon is frustrating would probably be a little bit of an understatement. Why? So there may be unexpected developments, I gotta tell you, that prevent you from traveling. If you wanted to travel, I'd say most likely ain't gonna happen. And if it does happen, then it can be very, very disruptive. because the ninth house where the full moon is happening is the house that governs long distance travel. Now, it may also be a time of culmination when you receive kind of like the final result or like the final decision, whatever they call it, in legal judicial matters. If you have been involved in any sort of like legal issues, you may all of a sudden receive a response. And it's like, here you go, it's happening, there you have it, it's over, move on with your life. It can go either way. Whenever we've got Uranus, the planet of surprise, involved, it can go literally either way. On the one hand, you might feel, I want to say, you might feel a little bit relieved that it's all kind of like, it's culminated and now it's dying down, because it has eaten up a lot of your mental capacity and your mental space, and it has been driving you anxious for quite some time. On the other hand, it may result in like a big sort of like fallout with someone in your life, someone who is quite close to you. It can be a sibling, or it could be someone in like a wider circle that you belong to, a wider group of friends that you belong to. There may be a certain argument or a certain discussion that you may have been having. If you are married with your in-laws, and this reaches a point of, gosh, we are absolutely not going to see eye to eye on this matter, so we'd better just move on with our lives. But first and foremost, let's just jump at each other's throats and let's just call each other names. So this full moon has big argument spelled over it. Big argument that leads to like an ending, but still, this is big argument energy. Don't say I didn't warn you. Like, words can really pierce through people's skin right about now. So I'd be very careful with my choice of words if I were you, Gemini. Now, throughout the entire month, Mars in your 11th house of friends and groups and your tribe, let's say, is going to be squaring planets in Capricorn in your 8th house. So, I said one of the keywords for August is frustration. And the funny thing with frustration is we feel frustrated when there's not much we can do about a certain situation. So, there's a couple of possibilities around how this sort of aspect may play throughout the whole month. So this is not just kind of like happening like now or like the first week or whatnot. It's kind of like an energy that you may feel throughout the whole month. There may be secrets coming to the surface related to your friends that really make you feel betrayed, and that really make you feel like, gosh, why did I consider you to be my friends? There may also be arguments and conflicts related to shared resources and related to money. And again, you with like a group of people that you belong to or that you share something, you have something in common with, you may not necessarily see eye to eye throughout this entire month in regards to how to use a certain common resource. But saying that, I also have good news for the month of August. Mars in your 11th house, which we've talked about, it's going to be the perpetrator of frustration, is going to be trining the sun in your 3rd house from the 4th of August till the 27th of August. What does that mean? It means the following. It means that you may be absorbing a lot of information and learning a lot of things from the people that you interact with from the 4th till the 27th of August. And people who you might have considered like, I don't know, mates or like colleagues, and that you may not have necessarily been very close to, you might realize, actually, I can learn a lot from this person. Actually, I really want them to be in my life. I really consider them friends, and I can really see how spending more time with them is good for me and is helping me evolve. Now, it's also very possible between this time frame from the 4th till the 27th. Yeah, on the one hand, there's this sort of like frustration, but on the other hand, you might feel closer in terms of communication and in terms of like talking and reaching out to your friends than you have felt in like a long time. Everything that you've been going through in like the past 2 years may have contributed to you feeling a little bit disconnected from some of your friends, or feeling like you can't share your secrets with your friends because they wouldn't get it. It's like, oh, I've got this like dark skeleton in my closet that I don't want to share. And there's still a little bit of that energy, but you may feel more open this month towards communicating with your friends, towards reaching out to them, towards meeting with them. And I gotta say, you might feel more optimistic if you do engage in communication with them. So I absolutely recommend it. And there is a particular piece of good news that is probably making its way to you around the 19th of August, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, when a new moon in Leo happening in your 3rd house is trining this Mars in your 11th house. So you might feel very sort of like empowered, and you might feel like, yeah, I can do this, I've got this, with all the support that you are getting from people that you did not necessarily expect to receive support from, or from people who you may have lost touch with, people who you still consider friends, but you may not have necessarily kept in close touch with. I would also say, if you've been meaning to like learn something, or you may have like found yourself inadvertently picking up a new skill throughout the month of August, and it can start very early in August. Around the 19th of August, you might realize, actually, this thing that I've been studying about, this thing that I've been like practicing on a day-to-day basis, I'm starting to get really good at it, and I can see how I can fit it into my long-term plans and into my future. So I would say keep your mind busy this month, Gemini, and if you can, absolutely focus on learning a new skill, or like practicing a certain skill. If you work in sales, around the 19th of August, you might close a very important deal that is kind of like paving the way for the future. So again, super positive. Last but not least, from the 11th of August till the 25th of August, Venus is going to be in your 2nd house of earned income, trining Uranus in your 12th house. People, you cannot even imagine how good an aspect this is, or at least like that's my Capricorn moon talking. You may be landing into money, or you may be uncovering a source of income by realizing, you know what, I got the skill and I can make this work and I can monetize it, and I can really build it up as a reliable source of income. So to me, this is like, in my notes, I put in money from secret sources, or money that you start creating, but without necessarily presenting to the whole world, okay, look guys, this is what I've been doing, this is what I've been up to. So you may be starting to get off like a new source of income, to get it off the ground. Or all of a sudden, surprisingly, because hey, Uranus is involved, you may realize that something that you have been doing, maybe for fun, maybe for pleasure, maybe as a hobby, has the potential to be monetized. And it starts to get monetized surprisingly for you. And you're like, what do I do with it? I say, pursue it. What else are you going to do with it, Gemini? So enjoy August, my lovely Geminis. My Cancerian brothers and sisters out there. By the way, I am a Cancer rising, folks, for those of you who are here to my channel for the first time. And that is why I always refer to Cancerians as my brethren. Whew, what a month we have ahead of us. So Cancer risings and Cancer suns. The month starts off with a full moon in Aquarius in our 8th house. What does the 8th house symbolize? It symbolizes death, secrets, taxes, other people's money, crisis and transformation. Woohoo! All this like lighthearted stuff. By the way, folks, again, if you are here for the first time, I speak fluent sarcasm, so do not get offended. I know there are some folks who do get offended, and they're like, why are you laughing when you are talking about such tragic matters? I'm like, dude, I'm talking about the future. It ain't happened yet. You don't know if it's gonna be tragic. It might just be a pain in the So, far from tragic, right? Okay, so this full moon, going back to it, rant over, is happening in our 8th house, and it's squaring Uranus in our 11th house in Taurus. There may be crisis, I gotta tell you, Cancer, and it may very well have to do with a certain plan that you've made for the future, and possibly, there is some sort of like financial snafu. Resources snafu. It's like, okay, I wanted to make this work. I wanted to like put this like plan into action, but what on earth is going on? I don't have the money yet, or I need to like pay an unexpected debt. I need to pay my taxes. You might receive news of, I don't know, from the government saying, knock, knock, Cancerian, you've still got taxes to pay. You've underpaid. Or here you go. We are serving you up with this unexpected legal fee or whatnot. And it may rattle you a little bit because you hadn't planned for it. I'm also going to say, you might be reaching a point of, how should we put it? A point of mental crisis. It's like everything that's been happening in your life, and especially, I gotta say, probably like uncertainty regarding the future and uncertainty regarding like what is gonna happen, how it's gonna play out, and all of that. It might really get to you, and you might feel a little bit like your head is kind of going poof. So be gentle on you. Whatever happens around this time, the trap is to feel like you're an imposter and to start doubting yourself. There's always going to be ebbs and flows. There's always going to be unexpected events and unexpected circumstances turning up at your door. And my recommendation is adopt a flexible approach. And I realize this full moon is happening in a fixed sign, so there's a lot of fixed sign energy. So usually when we have like this sort of like T-square aspect, which is a challenging aspect, and it's formed on fixed energy, circumstances outside of our control are challenging us to get out of very strong fixations that no longer serve us, and very strong like attachment to an old way of doing things. So if you have like a certain attachment as to how your future will play out, or if you have a certain attachment to like a certain like long-term dream or plan, and it may border obsession, then all of a sudden the universe might be knock knock, not gonna happen. You need to grow, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to throw a curveball your way. So curveball is probably a good keyword for the 3rd of August. Now, all month, just to clear it up, Mars in our 10th house of career, yay, is giving us energy and is giving us stamina to like put into our career sector. However, that's not all that Mars is doing. Mars is squaring planets in Capricorn in our 7th house. Now, I wrote down in my notes, open enemies at work causing frustration. You may have some folks who are openly coming out against you and saying, nope, you have zero clues as to what you're doing. Nope, I do not believe in your vision as a leader. Or nope, I am not gonna let you climb up that career ladder as fast as you thought you would. And you might be tempted to fight and to push back and say, what do you know? But the thing is, what they do know, these open enemies, is the fact that they probably have more experience than you, and they've probably been around for longer than you, and that's why they feel the courage to like openly challenge you. You're gonna have to find a middle ground, because if you lash out and if you fight them back openly, it might actually prove their point. It might be like, we knew that they were not ready to be like this mature, professional, calm, disciplined, practical leader. So don't help them prove their own point, Cancer. Now, I also have some good news, saving the best for last, for the month of August. So Mars, pesky Mars, who's like shoving fire down our kind of like bodies, and we're like, I want to like do this, I want to do that, and then you hit a wall and you're like, no. So Mars in your 10th house is also going to bring some good energy, some positive energy. I hate to make like the sort of like good versus bad delineation, because in the grand scheme of things, all things just are, and things change, and something that feels like bad today might feel completely necessary and actually beneficial like a year from now. So, but in the short term, more pleasant energy is coming from Mars in your 10th, trining the Sun in your 2nd house from the 4th till the 27th of August. Are you going to have open enemies at work and open adversaries? Yes. Are you going to make money out of it? Like, not out of interacting with the adversaries, but out of like this sort of like renewed sense of like energy and stamina that is flowing through your veins in August. Yes, it looks like you are going to make more money out of it. So what can I tell you, Cancer? Focus on the positives and enjoy. And there is something around like enjoying the new value, the added value that is being brought into your life, and that will help calm down and quell the sort of like thirst for like fighting, because there is like a thirst for fighting in you in August, and even like taking the fight publicly. I don't know if that's the right way to do it. I don't know. I usually recommend leading by example and kind of like letting others shoot themselves in the foot. So, money, your way, Cancer, August. This sort of like culmination, or like this sort of like you entering into this new chapter in regards to your area of earned income and money coming from your work is most likely to be felt around the new moon in Leo on the 19th of August, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after. But I gotta tell you, throughout the entire month, I see cash flowing your way, and it makes you feel like, yep, I deserve it. It strengthens your sense of like self-worth. And I say, you ride that wave, Cancer. Am I talking to me? Maybe. Some more good news from the 11th till the 25th of August. Venus, who's going to be in your 1st house, which is going to make you Venus transiting through your 1st house. Let me really quickly check when this is happening. Dun 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 dun. Bear with me, Cancerians, please. So from the 8th of August, I'd say, till pretty much the end of the month. But in any case, from the 11th till the 25th, Venus is going to be trining Uranus. Now, Venus from the 8th is going to be in your 1st house for most of the month. You may feel more loved and more charismatic and sexier and kind of like more appreciated generally by most people throughout the latter 3 weeks of August, so from the 8th of August onwards. But from the 11th till the 25th, which I kept on mentioning, Venus is going to be trining Uranus in your 11th house of friends. So if you have some sort of like audience, if you have, or if you are part of like several like groups of people, circles of friends, if you are part of like some sort of like organization, people will love you and people will listen to you, and they will be much more inclined to give in to whatever it is that you are suggesting. You could even say that you're going to be much more charismatic this month, and you're going to have much more appeal to audiences than usual. So again, take advantage of that and resist the urge, resist the fighting urge, Cancer. If you want to make like some sort of like aesthetic change, I usually recommend to people that they do it, especially Cancer risings, when Venus is in your rising sign, or in your first, is kind of like cruising through your first house, or is like conjunct your rising sign, conjunct your ascendant. That's because you're much more likely to like choose with good taste in mind, and what you choose is much more likely to suit you aesthetically. So if you're going for that new haircut, or if you're going shopping, I'd say go from the 11th of August onwards till the 25th, Cancer. And that's it for August. All you Leo suns and Leo risings out there, what does August have in store for you? So, a lot. Yes, a lot is gonna be happening, Leo. We've got an eventful month ahead, I gotta say. The month is gonna kick off with a high or medium dosage of frustration, as it's actually kicking off for like a lot of people, in all fairness. So don't feel like you're being singled out right now, Leos, okay? So on the 3rd of August, we've got a full moon happening in Aquarius, in the sign that is opposing you, therefore indicating, first and foremost, your approach towards partnerships and relationships. It can indicate the type of people that you attract in your life, but it's also indicating your interactions with others. So the first house is me, the 7th house where the full moon is happening is other people. And this full moon is squaring Uranus in the 10th house at the top of the chart. What does that mean? Well, it means that you might decide to break away from a certain significant other in your life. Or you might decide that actually their presence in your life is quite disruptive, and you need to make adjustments in order for this person to like stick around with you. For those of you who are in a partnership, who are in a relationship, I've got to tell you, whatever you do, don't fly off the handle. Because you might be quite prone to like getting angry and getting kind of like annoyed and even like lashing out at a partner. Or it may literally be the fact that something that is completely outside of your control, because we've got 10th house energy involved and Uranus, which is very unexpected energy involved. Something that is happening at an institutional level. It may be related to your career, my dear Leo. An unexpected turn of events is actually frustrating the natural flow and the smooth flow of a partnership. It might also feel like someone in a position of power is somewhat against you and is no longer on your side. You might feel very challenged by that. Or you might feel challenged by the fact that you have to adjust who you are. You have to adjust your sense of identity and how you engage with the world in order to please someone who is in a position of power. Are you gonna do it? Are you not gonna do it? It's in your hands. I mean, we always have choices. That's what I tell people. Like, I've actually done it. I've done a video on astrology and free will, and I recommend that everyone watches it please, so that you can see what my philosophy around free will is. The point is, we have choices and we have options, even when we think that we don't. We actually always do. So it's up to you what you do with this disruptive energy, Leo, around this time. Throughout the entire month, Mars is going to be in your 9th house. The 9th house is associated with long distance travel. It's associated with higher education. It's associated with politics, religion, beliefs, our belief system. And throughout the entire month, Mars is going to be squaring the planets in Capricorn, in your 6th house of day-to-day work. First and foremost, there may be constant clashes throughout the month with people at work. This may be like the most kind of like obvious output of this aspect. There may also be clashes in your head with the fact that whatever you are doing from a work day-to-day kind of activity is not in alignment at all. On the contrary, is in tension, is opposing, is frustrating your belief system and your view of the world and your vision and how you would do things. It's like, it might feel like coworkers are like trying to pick up a fight with you, or they're like completely not on board with what you're trying to do, essentially. If your work involves traveling, there may be frustration around traveling, to be honest, and either direction. So you may be like prevented from traveling, or you might have to like move more than necessary. There seems to be like some sort of issue related to like traveling and your day-to-day work. It might also be, and I do want to flag this for you, Leos, the 6th house is also your health, right? And whatever's happening in your head right now, and all the frustration in your head, may actually have like a physical effect upon your body. And this may result in some sort of like, I don't want to scare you, but I do want you to pay attention to issues and challenges health-wise that are related to skin, teeth, and bones. All of these governed by Capricorn, and therefore with all these planets in Capricorn, it's like, okay, you need to pay attention to these. There may be some sort of like flare-up in terms of health that needs tending to straight away, and it could be related to one of these like 3, I don't want to call them body parts. Anyway, these like health-related areas. So teeth, bones, skin. Now, enough with like prepping you for what may come. I also want to give you like a whiff of like good news as well, because there will be good news and there will be enjoyment in your birthday month. Most of your like for the 3 weeks that also kind of like include your birthday month, Leo. So between the 4th and the 24th, between the 4th of August, English please, between the 4th of August and the 27th of August, we've got Mars trining the Sun in your 1st house. Now, you may feel energized in some sense, and you may feel kind of like, I would even dare say, an optimism for the future. Maybe the prospect of like a certain like long distance holiday, or maybe the prospect of this new sort of like learning path that you are embarking upon especially around the 19th of August, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, when the new moon in Leo is taking place. You seem to be more and more satisfied with who you are becoming and with how you are evolving. And you have a lot of energy, I would say, a lot of mental energy to continue this expansion of consciousness and to continue this expansion of like your knowledge and your view of the world. And around the 19th of August, you might be like taking stock, I think is what they call it, taking stock of it and say, you know what, I really like what I'm turning into. You might also receive I gotta say, some good news from abroad. So that is still in the books. Another piece of good news from the 11th of August till the 25th of August. Venus is going to be in your 12th house, trining Uranus in your 10th. So, you know how all of these people who I've been like talking about might like openly kind of like question you in terms of like day-to-day work. There may be this conflict with like a boss, with like an authority figure. You do have someone who is rooting for you from the shadows, and someone who is actually powerful enough to support you in your career moving forward. So if there is like a massive disruption in your career happening towards the beginning of the month, do not despair. Do not pull your hair out, because there will be cavalry coming to the rescue, and you don't know of it, and you have zero vision of it because it's coming from the 12th house and you can't really see it, and it will take you by surprise. But you may actually receive some like a much better position, or like be put in like a much better place career-wise from the 11th till the 25th of August. There may be some developments that started somehow behind the scenes, and people with power that you didn't even know were on your side were kind of like advancing your agenda. And I gotta tell you, all of a sudden, you might receive like a new position, you might receive some like unexpected bonus, and you might realize, you know what, it's good that I had that fallout at the beginning of the month, even though to start with, you might be like, no, why is this happening to me? So, Leo, I'm hoping you are going to enjoy the month of August as much as possible. What can I say? Now, let us move on to Virgos. Dear Virgo suns and Virgo risings. What is going on? I'll tell you what's going on. This full moon happening on the 3rd of August is gonna get the entire zodiac annoyed. That's what's going on, including you. You're probably gonna get annoyed around the 3rd of August as well. So, on the 3rd of August, we've got a full moon happening in your 6th house, squaring Uranus in your 9th house. Now, this full moon is happening in the area of work and health. Health-wise, I really want you to be careful. Because if there was some sort of like condition that you knew of, but you didn't necessarily pay attention to, it may result in a certain flare-up. Now, because it's in the sign of Aquarius, it may very well be related to nerves and stress and anxiety and you driving yourself crazy because of all the pressure that you put on you. It could also be something like coming from outside, which kind of like pushes your last, like it has a feeling of being the last straw and pushes your button really hard. Once again, everyone's being disrupted by Uranus, I gotta say. So if you were expecting to like travel, or if you were expecting to like finalize a certain like a legal matter, it may be finalized. It may be finalized, but it may also very well be postponed. It may also very well kind of like drive you nuts. It's like, why is this happening to me? And you may realize it's gonna need like your attention for another 5 months-ish. I really want you to like take it easy on yourself around the 3rd of August, 3 days before, 3 days after, because if you've been pushing yourself really hard, which I know you have, Virgo, work-wise, you may burn yourself out and you may feel like pulling your hair out because you are reaching a point where you're like, I need to rest or otherwise I'm gonna implode. So you're the only one who can stop, Virgo. That is something to be conscious of. It could also bring, and I am gonna be like very frank with you, Virgo. The full moon around the 3rd of August may also bring some like troubling news in regards to like work, possibly coworkers. And again, you did not envisage it and you did not have any sort of like premonition around it because the 12th house is also involved. So 12th house matters usually like come forward from like the shadows. It could be that a certain like chapter in your work life is ending. There could be someone who is really close to you leaving work. Or it could be that you are leaving your day job. Now, throughout the entire month, Mars in the 8th house, in Aries, is going to be squaring the planets in Capricorn, in your 5th house. Whew, Virgo, if you are coupled up, let me tell you, if you're coupled up, you may be having like fights. You may be feeling like an intense bout of frustration towards your romantic partner, because of the way that they deal with shared resources. Or throughout most of the month, there may be, I would say, almost like negotiations around resources, around shared resources in particular. You might also feel that if you are with someone, you might also feel like you're having a hard time expressing towards them the negative, frustrating feelings that you have been gathering towards them for quite some time, and you have been like bottling them up. You've been bottling them up. And my advice is to start talking, because otherwise you might implode, and you might also explode on the outside and cause like this massive, like dramatic kind of like transformational like conflict and argument with your partner. If you are not with someone, I gotta tell you, and like even if you're single or if you're coupled up, there may be internal issues that you are battling that have to do with your romantic life, but ultimately come from like your own fears and your own like triggers and your own pain and trauma and demons that you have, that you may be trying to like hide from your partner, or that you may not feel like you're ready to divulge to them, but at the same time they're eating you on the inside. You may also feel very psychologically triggered by either like an existing romantic partner or a potential romantic partner. There can be blockages around sex and intimacy that you experience this month, Virgo. And there's no point in like turning this angry energy towards you. Like obviously, like you have to like find a way to like get it out into the open, but be very careful how you do it so as to not make the other person feel like they're being attacked by you. Now, good news. I bet everyone is waiting for this. Mars in your 8th house is going to be trining the sun from the 4th till the 27th of August. The sun is in your 12th house throughout this whole month. With the sun in the 12th house, well, for most of this month until the sun moves into Virgo in like the last week of August, but like for the first 3 weeks of the month, it's important that you reflect. It's important that you turn inwards, and it's important that you look your fears and your deep-seated beliefs that no longer serve you, but that play kind of like on repeat in your subconscious. Look them in the eye and say, where's this taking me? What the hell am I doing with it? And it is a very good time, I would say, first and foremost, for rest. And secondly, for working on yourself from a psychological level, for healing, seeing a therapist, doing like healing work, actively engaging in activities that have to do with getting out of subconscious patterns that no longer serve you. This is the best thing that you can do for yourself throughout the first 3 weeks of August, my dear Virgo. Now, we also have a new moon happening on the 19th of August in this 12th house, in this hidden area of your chart, trining Mars in the 8th house. It looks like around the 19th of August, you are overcoming a psychological blockage, and you are coming out of it changed. Not in a way that is visible to the outside world, but you may you may feel very proud of yourself because you have overcome a psychological block that you have been dealing with for possibly years. Now, from the 11th of August till the 25th, Venus is going to be going through your 11th house of friends, friendships, goals, long-term plans, and dreams. And it's going to be trining Uranus in your 9th house. Uranus is actually the ruler of your day-to-day work. So you may realize around this time, so between the 11th and the 25th, that a work-related prospect is playing out much better than you could have ever imagined. And if you did lose something work-wise towards the beginning of the month, I would say something a lot better is coming up around the corner, and you may hear news of it as early as the 11th, but this is, I would say, kind of like the most emphasized time frame between the 11th and the 25th. Now, it's also possible that you may feel like you are receiving like out of this world inspiration in regards to a long-term plan and a long-term kind of like dream and objective for the future. And all of a sudden you might realize, you know what? I know how to make this work and I am going to put it into practice straight away. So that's the sort of like inspiration that Uranus in Taurus is likely to give to you from the 11th till the 25th when it's aspecting Venus in your 11th house of friends. Last but not least, from the 11th till the 25th, you might feel like you've really found your people, you've really found your tribe, and you might feel like more connected and closer to your friends than you felt in a very, very long time. And it might dawn on you, you know what? This is my chosen family. And I'm very, very lucky to have them. So Virgo, have a fabulous August and keep me up to speed as to how it's playing out. My dear Libras, Libra suns and Libra risings, what does August have in store for you? Well, it's a mixed bag, like it is for everyone else. So let me dive straight into the less fun part. I'm gonna save the most fun part for the second half of your horoscope. August is kicking off with a full moon happening on the 3rd in your 5th house, and it's squaring Uranus in the sign of Taurus, currently placed in your 8th house. Now, this full moon might feel like a bit of a deal breaker moment, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, between how you see a relationship evolving, especially a romantic relationship, how you see it evolving in the long run versus how the other person that you are with sees it evolving in the long run. And it seems to me like there is some sort of like internal crisis also coming up to the surface, especially on your end. You might find that a certain like loved one in your life, if you are with someone, is triggering a hidden demon in your subconscious, and it might be making you lash out a little bit, and it might also make you feel like you are in a situation without any sort of like escape. It's like, okay, this is the end. There's no going away from this. But actually, when we have this sort of like tense aspect, it's called a T-square. And especially at a full moon timing, I would recommend looking at your deep-seated beliefs and deep-seated sort of like way of treating romantic relationships, way of referring and relating to intimacy, to plans with a certain loved one, and seeing whether you haven't been like very inflexible, or maybe you have been very, very inflexible. Maybe you thought that relationships, romantic relationships in particular, could only play out in one specific way, and whatever is happening around the 3rd of August might make you question that, and it might make you realize, actually, I am a little bit stuck, and I need to get myself unstuck. Now, on a more kind of like day-to-day material level, you may reach like a significant disagreement with a romantic partner in regards to how to use shared resources. So I gotta tell you, something's gonna have to give in. And my recommendation is to be open about what you're afraid of, to be open about what you think is gonna happen, and to lay it all out on the table for your partner with honesty, with sincerity, and with, I would say, respect for both of your individualities and unique ways of looking at the world. Now, if you owed money to a partner, or if a partner owes money to you, you might be a little bit disappointed to see that they don't pay it back, or that they're not ready to pay it back. I would also say you might feel in the relationship that you are in that your partner is asking for more, or is in need of more freedom, and is not willing to commit as much as you want to commit. So that might be very triggering and very painful for you, my dear Libra. Now, if you have children, then I gotta tell you, you might not see eye to eye, Libra, around the 3rd of August, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after. You might not see eye to eye with your kids as to how they should live their plans for the future. And you might realize, actually, I'm much more inflexible than I thought I was. It's also a time, I would say, around the full moon, when a certain chapter in your creative life seems to be coming to an end. And if you work in some sort of like creative industry, any sort of industry that is concerned with like beautifying the environment, or like making the world a more pleasingly aesthetic place, you might realize that actually your project is coming to an end, to an abrupt end, but it's not reached the point that you wanted it to reach, and that may cause a significant amount of annoyance. There's no point in like hanging on to old plans, because there is a certain like attachment to how you thought things would play out, right? What you need to do now is adapt and find solutions, because circumstances like much greater than like than the ones that you can control are at play right now. And it's not just about you, it's about the other people that you interact with, in particular, people who are important to you, people who you share things with, and they're really not on board with what your plans are, I gotta say. Now, throughout the entire month of August, Mars is going to be in your 7th house, squaring the planets in Capricorn in the 4th house. So we're talking here about Jupiter, we're talking here about Pluto, we're talking here about Saturn. Libra. This month you might feel like a lot of people are having like a tooth against you, and as much as you try to find like a middle ground, as much as you try to find like a solution that pleases both parties involved, even you might have a hard time finding that, because it seems like you are hitting a wall when it comes to especially your committed relationship and like your one-to-one partnerships, be them like life partnerships or business partnerships. They are not willing to compromise. They are not willing to meet you halfway. They want to have their way. You want to have your way. And I gotta tell you, throughout the entire month of August, there may be fights in the home place. There may be fights with your family. You might feel like unsupported by your family. You might feel like they are not embracing and like appreciating your initiative. They might even like feel like pushed around, and I know that's probably like the last thing that you want to do. But in any case, they might even like misinterpret your intentions, and tempers will flare up. If there's something that you want to do in the home place, and if there's something that you want to do related to the home, maybe like a movement, maybe like a renovation, any sort of like energy investment within the home place, is somehow, it may feel like it's somehow thwarted. It may feel like the entire like external environment is like saying, no, you can't do this now. No, here's like a bunch of hurdles that you have to like jump through. If you are sharing like a residence, if you are sharing a space, a home with your partner, which you probably might well do, there may be arguments around how you are in private, and how you kind of like carry yourself, and how you like what sort of habits you have in private. So it might feel like they have a tooth against you, and my recommendation is obviously like not to fight back, but to kind of like open up and be honest about why you are doing the things you are doing. Now, there are some good news as well, like there are for everyone, and like there will be every time, and it's up to us to like see the light and see the good in everything. Mars in your 7th house of partnerships is going to be trining the sun in your 11th house of friends and plans and long-term objectives and groups of people that you belong to from the 4th till the 27th of August. And there's almost like a culmination of this aspect around the new moon in Leo on the 19th of August, happening in your 11th house. So after all the negotiation, because this does feel like a negotiation, this does feel like a back and forth, around the 19th of August, give or take 3 days before or 3 days after, you may feel like you've finally reached an agreement with a partner as to how to move forward with a certain plan, with a certain project. If you are not involved in like any sort of partnership, although I do have to say, business partnerships in particular are very, very well aspected at the time of the new moon around the 19th of August, because the new moon is happening in the 11th house, and the 11th house is associated with money coming from our own businesses and setting up your own business. It is possible that the way this is going to play out in real life is you reach an agreement after all this negotiation, and it's like, okay, I know how to move forward. We've made the plan. This is how we can kind of like go ahead together, and this is how we can make this long-term plan a reality. Whatever's happening in the home place, I do have to tell you, may be taking its emotional toll on you throughout this month. Friends and like spending time with friends and getting out of the house is exactly what you need in order to maintain your sanity, Libra, throughout this entire month. And last but not least, from the 11th till the 25th of August, Venus is going to be in your 10th house of career, trining Uranus in your 8th house. Woohoo! This is fabulous, Libra. I have to say, because Venus is actually your ruler, right? So with Venus in your 10th house from actually the 8th of August, but from the 11th, it's aspecting Uranus in your 8th house. You might feel like you are using the fact that you've overcome a psychological blockage, or the fact that you have overcome a certain fear of yours. You are using it tremendously to your advantage when it comes to advancing in your career. By the way, from the 8th of August till the end of the month, like you might feel like you've got bosses on your side. You are charismatic, you are appreciated, you are liked, you are embraced, you are looked at with like good eyes, as they say, in the career sector. And I gotta tell you, it's important for you to use all the knowledge that you have, both about how people work and about yourself, in the career sector, because there can be very unexpected, like, positive developments in your career, and they might even like pay out, literally pay out, in terms of money. There might even be like an unexpected, like, financial bonus coming your way career-wise by the end of August, by the 25th-ish, I would say. So there's plenty to look forward to in August, Libra. Let me know how this has been going for you. Now, let us move on to Scorpio. My dear, dear Scorpios, Scorpio suns and Scorpio risings. What is happening? I'll tell you what's happening. The month is starting off with a full moon in Aquarius in your 4th house. People, Scorpios, Scorpio suns and Scorpio risings. There may be crisis in your home, and this crisis is involving, it's you versus someone else, right? It's like you versus a partner, or you versus a family member, or you versus the world. It may feel like the world is like somewhat against what you are trying to achieve in your family life and in your home sector. I gotta tell you, this can take like all sorts of like forms in terms of disruption. There may be some unexpected disruption that you hear of around the 3rd of August coming from a parent. Most likely the father, because usually the 4th house is associated with the father. If you have been trying to like achieve something and like finalize a certain like home-related project, it is coming to an end, and it is almost like culminating, but it's not culminating in the direction in which you wanted it to culminate. There may be a need for you at the time of the full moon, around the 3rd of August, to tend to a member of your family who has gone through like a very unexpected event in their life. And last but not least, I don't want to scare you off, but you're a Scorpio, you can handle it. Of course you can. There may even be like a sudden movement in the house. Like you might realize, actually, like something's going on and I need to move because I no longer am like feeling at home in my home. So I have to say, probably not the smoothest beginning to the month, but it's getting better after this. Wait for it. Now, for the entire month of August, Mars is going to be in your 6th house, squaring planets in Capricorn in your 3rd house. So Mars is going to be squaring Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto at different times within like different orbs, but it's going to be active for like all of August. So you are going to feel this intense energy. Now, to say that there may be quarrels and arguments with coworkers might be an understatement. It may feel like people are really not getting you. It's like whatever you communicate, you're like hitting wall after wall, and people are like, they're scratching their heads and they're like, where is this person coming from? I would say be very careful so as to not be perceived as a bulldozer and as someone who doesn't care about their coworkers, someone who doesn't care about like other people's like feelings or other people's input. There is a certain like impulsivity around how you express yourself, and a higher than usual degree of like sarcasm and a risk of perceived attack type discourse, Scorpio. So I would be very, very careful, and I would actually recommend toning it down a little bit. Now, throughout the entire month, you might also feel quite frustrated in the workplace because you can't carry on or carry out all your initiatives because of certain skills that you lack, and of certain like skill set areas that you need to spend more time on. It's like, it's all good and fine that you want to like get ahead of it and like do your thing, but actually there is a certain lack in knowledge or a certain lack in experience that is preventing you from advancing as fast as you'd want to. Now, there is also some good news. Mars in your 6th house of day-to-day work is going to be trining the sun in Leo in your 10th house from the 4th till the 27th of August. And this is culminating around the new moon in Leo on the 19th of August, happening in your 10th house. So, as much as you might feel frustrated because you need to like learn certain things or you need to like acquire more experience in the workplace, and you can't carry out the projects that you want to carry out or the initiatives that you had in mind, or like make your vision a reality, you have a lot of support from people who are higher up, from bosses. You also have the ability to step up as, I want to say, as a wise and visionary leader around this time. So whatever is happening in your workplace, and however you feel challenged, because you may feel like directly challenged by your colleagues, it's up to you to rise above it and offer an example of leadership. And this sort of like leading by example type of approach seems to be receiving a lot of recognition and paving the way for the next 6 months to a year around the new moon in Leo on the 19th of August. Now, if you suffer a little bit from imposter syndrome, it's up to you to put in like the effort and to put in the energy required to study more, to learn more, and to not be afraid to kind of like get off your high horse, because you will be placed on a high horse work-wise. I do see that shining almost for you, but get off your high horse and really like listen to others and really see what you can learn from everyone, because you might be a little bit too impatient to kind of like get going, and it's like, yeah, now I've got like this power and now I'm gonna like implement my vision and this is how we should do things. But you may be getting ahead of yourself. So listen, learn from others, and be the leader that you can be, and that you will probably get like a very good glimpse of it around the 19th of August, my dear Scorpio. Now, from the 11th till the 25th of August, Venus is in Cancer in your 9th house, trining Uranus in your 7th house. I gotta say, I gotta tell you this. Throughout this entire period, you might be receiving almost like out of a different dimension, out of a higher dimension. You might be receiving enlightenment and inspiration and brilliant insight from people around you that change your vision entirely, that change your belief system, that evolve your belief system, that make you feel much more comfortable with your way of looking at the world. And it also seems to me that people around you can really help you elevate your, not just your level of knowledge, but also your level of consciousness. This is a month to be like a sponge, right? I mean, obviously, like, it's all good and fine to have, like, boundaries and whatnot, but this is not a month of, like, you versus them or you versus me. This is actually a month of, like, being open and acknowledging that anyone and everyone can teach you something, and you might be surprised as to what brilliant ideas can come out of, like, exchanges with others and being open to listening and to learning from others, and not thinking, oh, they're like younger, or oh, they don't know what they're talking about. Everyone is like good at something, and everyone has something to like teach you. It's just a case of being open, Scorpio. And that is August for you. My lovely Sagittarians, Sagittarian suns and Sagittarius risings, are you excited for August? I bet you are. You've got reasons to be excited, and you've got reasons to kind of like take it slow and like don't get overexcited, okay? But knowing you, I mean, you probably will. You probably will. This month, there is a big emphasis on your 3rd house, 9th house axis. So, what is happening? The month kicks off with a full moon on the 3rd of August in the sign of Aquarius in your 3rd house, squaring Uranus in your 6th house. Now, this is when it gets a little bit annoying, a little bit murky. You may be receiving some unexpected news that are not necessarily the smoothest and the most pleasant when it comes to your day-to-day work. There could be news of redundancies. I'm gonna tell you this. There could also be news of some significant changes happening in your day-to-day job, and this is taking you completely by surprise because you were not prepared for it, and you have to like make you might have to like make significant adjustments based on what you're gonna hear. You might also feel around this time, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, that you are challenged unexpectedly by what's happening in your day job, and you might feel like, oh, what the fluff? I don't know this. I don't know how to do this. Why is this happening? I need to learn, and I need to learn fast. So there may be a certain like type of event, or like a series of events, or like an unexpected situation, because unexpected is the keyword with Uranus here, taking place in your day job, and you realize you don't know how to handle it because you don't have the actual knowledge to handle it. So you may be like scrambling a little bit to kind of like piece things together. What's happening? Oh no, oh my gosh. This time might also feel like the end of a chapter in your day job, be it the end of a chapter in terms of like you moving on to a different job, or be it the end of a chapter in terms of your day-to-day work is no longer going to look the same as it has looked in at least like the past 6 months to a year. Now, for the entire month, Mars is going to be in your 5th house. The 5th house is associated with love and creativity and fun. Mars here is pretty much at home. I mean, Mars in the 5th house feels really good. However, Mars is going to be squaring the planets in Capricorn in your 2nd house till pretty much the end of the year. But let's not get into that. Let's talk about August here first. So throughout the entire month, it is possible that you might feel like money-related issues, income-related matters are preventing you from enjoying your August, from enjoying what's left of summer. You might be like, yes, like, let's go out, let's have fun, let's do this, let's do that. And actually, at the back of your mind is like, oh, like, I need to, like, keep an eye out on my financial long-term stability. I need to, like, plan for the future. I need to, like, do all of these things that I'm not in the mood to do, but you kind of, like, have to do it because Capricorn is associated with duty. And whenever planets in Capricorn, like in this case, we've got 3 planets involved in Capricorn. Whenever they step in, it's like, we don't care if you like it or not. It's your duty to do it. So you might think, okay, I need to like sort this out first. And they may be like money related matters might be at the back of your mind, I would say. Not fun. The opposite of fun, pretty much. But there is some fun to be had, and there is some love to be made, and there is some excitement to look forward to. I've been like saving the pleasant part of the horoscope for last for every single sign, and I'm like, saying that, good stuff is coming up too. So Mars is, as we've talked about, in your 5th house of true love, and it's going to be trining the sun in a Leo in your 9th house from the 4th till the 27th of August. Now, I'm going to say this. You might find throughout this whole period, people who you can like really connect with on an intellectual level. And you may actually draw a lot of like, satisfaction and a lot of like positive feelings, a lot of enjoyment out of connecting with these people on topics that have to do with our place in this world, faith, religion, philosophy, even like occult matters. You may also draw a great deal of enjoyment out of traveling with a significant other, with a romantic partner. Now, if you are not with someone, if you are single, you may attract in your life around, at any point between the 4th and the 27th, but more likely, possibly around the 19th of August, you may attract a partner who is foreign in some shape or form, like a romantic interest that is coming from like a different culture other than yours, and that stimulates your mind quite a lot. Stimulating the mind is probably the best thing that you can do throughout the entire month of August, my dear Sagittarius. And there is like a feeling of a new chapter, a new beginning around this area of your life, happening on the 19th of August with this new moon in Leo, which is trining Mars in your 5th house. Around this time, you might actually like find a new hobby that engages your mind quite a lot, and that you feel a great deal of like pleasure out of like doing it for its own sake. If you create things, if you work in any sort of like environment that requires like creativity, or in any sort of environment that requires dealing with media, advertising, publishing, publicity, I gotta tell you, if you have a certain like project that you want to share with the world, really like circle in your calendar the 19th of August, especially the 3 days after, because it will be very, very well received. Like the world is gonna love what you have been creating. Now, it might also feel around this time, around the 19th of August, that you are crystallizing a new life philosophy around enjoyment, around love, around living in the moment. And I gotta tell you, it is a good time to live in the moment. It's a good time to enjoy yourself. It's also a good idea not to overdo it. Because you may be judged, and you may be judged quite harshly, and you may even like feel the less pleasant effects on your wallet. But if you want to have fun, have intellectual fun, engage in debates, engage in like learning, engage in studying, in classes, in courses, and feed your mind this month, my dear Sagittarius. And yeah, if you want to travel with a loved one, gotta tell you, this is actually like pretty well aspected from the 4th till the 27th of August. Now, from the 11th till the 25th of August, Sagittarius, Venus is going to be in Cancer in your 8th house, trining Uranus in your 6th house of day-to-day work. So, if there was anything like that took you by surprise, work-wise, towards the beginning of the month, I have to say, people out there are really looking out for you, and a certain like connection of yours, someone who you formed like a strong bond with over time, might actually open up a window of opportunity for you. Sorry, Max is like getting super excited as well. And you might receive like a snippet of this opportunity that is coming your way when it comes to day-to-day work. Anytime between the 11th and the 25th of August. Now, last but not least, Sagittarius, you've got Venus going through your 8th house from the 8th till the till pretty much the end of the month in Cancer. But especially, I gotta say, between the 11th and the 25th, I want you to like circle these days in your calendar when people might gift you things. People might feel a lot more generous towards you than usual. And my recommendation is embrace it and receive it and enjoy it, because you've done a lot of good things for others as well. And now it's almost like the universe is paying you back. And the fact that you're not expecting it makes it all the more pleasant. So, Sagittarius, have fun in August and let me know how it's going. Now let's go on to Capricorns. Capricorns, are you still there? Are you still with me? Have you made it? Yes, you have. That's why you're here. I promise, it will get easier in December, after Saturn is out of your sign. But there's plenty to like look forward to, even in August, even in the months ahead, despite the disruption, despite the craziness. So let me lay it out for you. So this month in August, there is a strong emphasis on the 2nd 8th house axis. On the 3rd of August, we've got a full moon happening in Aquarius in your 2nd house. And this is squaring Uranus in your 5th house. Now, you may feel around this time directly challenged. You may feel like the outside world is directly challenging your worth. You may actually go through a little bit of like internal crisis, psychological crisis in regards to your worth, in regards to what you bring to the world, in regards to how you value yourself and how the world values you back. If you create things in your life, and we all create things in like some shape or form, there may be some unexpectedly poor feedback that makes you doubt everything that you've been doing. Don't let that drag you down. Learn from it, Capricorn. And there's plenty of good stuff coming up, so do not despair. I think I've said this phrase many times today. Now, it's also possible around the 3rd of August that there may be a certain like fight or like a certain argument kind of like reaching its culmination in regards to money and income and shared resources and sharing this with a certain partner, with a significant other in your life. If you ask me, love should win. And somewhat like meeting people halfway should also probably be the answer. You might also feel like a certain, either like a love interest or a certain like creative project or a certain like creative part of your life, or even like your kids, because kids are our own creations as well. So they fall under the same umbrella. You might feel like they are asking too much of you, too much of your resources, and you may feel very conflicted around that. Now, throughout the entire month, Mars is going to be in your 4th house of home and family, and it's going to be squaring the planets in Capricorn in your 1st house till pretty much the end of the year, but we're not talking about the end of the year here. We're talking about August. So throughout most of the month, Mars is going to be squaring Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. You might find that you're becoming increasingly frustrated with possibly like the lack of support that you are receiving from your family, or possibly from the fact that whatever is happening in your home and in your family and in kind of like your residence related matters is keeping you from advancing and like doing your thing and like putting your plans into practice. And you may even be prone to like fighting them and kind of like being reproachful towards them and saying like, you don't get it, you don't understand, you're old school. Even like traditional Capricorn might have had enough with like tradition, and they might just want to get going at this point. Max is saying hi again. There's not much you can do, and I recommend like not getting overwhelmed by the frustration, because things will take longer than you want them to, because you can become quite impatient. You can become quite impatient this year. I also want to say this. There may be a certain like development with a parent that has been sort of like going on and off, again, being like a certain like cause of frustration in your life. And it's requiring you to come up with creative solutions. And it's also requiring you to be more generous towards this person and more embracing of this person, even if they are in the wrong. Because you might be prone to be like, no, you're wrong, I'm right, no, it's not like this, it's like that. There's this very kind of like tense, old meets new kind of like vibe throughout the month. Now, the good news is, gotta say, there's good news coming up. There is a new moon in Leo happening on the 19th of August, and you will probably feel the effects of it as early as like 3 days before or 3 days after. It's happening in your 8th house, and it is trining Mars in your 4th house. So if you have been feeling like frustrated in regards to a certain development within the home place, I gotta tell you, there seem to be like external factors, external resources, people from the outside, people who are willing to help you, kind of like stepping in. You may be receiving like an unexpected boon in the form of like a lump sum payout, in the form of like inheritance, in the form of insurance that is somewhat related to your home or to like a family, or that you may decide to invest in the home. If you have been, for instance, waiting for a mortgage to be approved, I'd say around the 19th, you might actually hear news of it. And it's like, yes, we can finally move ahead with whatever plans we had in the home place. Whatever's happening in your home and in your family is putting a lot of mental strain on you, Capricorn. So I do recommend saving some time for yourself and saving some time to like live in the present and live in the moment and enjoy and disconnect from all the work, because this is like, it's like energy being put into the family, into like solving challenges and issues within the family or the home. And you need, more than everyone else, you probably need a lot of rest, Capricorn. Now, from the 11th of August till the 25th, you've got Venus in Cancer in your 7th house of partnership, trining Uranus in your 5th house. I gotta tell you, like, a significant other, a partner, between this time frame, may become very, very supportive and very loving, and you may feel very grateful to have them in your life. Between the 11th and the 25th in particular, gotta say, if you can go away with your partner, or if you can like save time in your day to do activities that you both enjoy together, it's gonna be like a balm for your soul. And it can actually like draw you together so much more. Love and romantic matters are very well aspected between the 11th and the 25th of August, my dear Capricorns. And last but not least, Uranus is the ruler of your 2nd house. And at the time, Uranus is going to be in your 5th house. So you may, as much as like you might have like received some not so great feedback when it came to your creative output, or maybe like towards the beginning of the month, you received some like negative feedback from a romantic interest. This seems to change towards the 2nd half of the month, or like as early as the 11th, when if you have taken on whatever they've mentioned to you and whatever they pointed out to you, they're very appreciative of it, and they want to point it out again, and they're like, I respect and I appreciate the fact that you have change your attitude and your values and like your approach because of what I said. So you may feel like closer and stronger than ever, and your sense of self-worth and your confidence is pretty much going to be restored around the time, my dear Capricorn. So have fun in August. My lovely Aquarius brothers and sisters, to those of you who are new to my channel, I am an Aquarius sun. That's why I am taking the liberty to refer to you as my brothers and sisters. So this month, peeps, Aquarius suns and Aquarius risings, the focus for you is going to be on the first 7th house axis. So you versus others, me versus the world, you versus your partner, life partner or business partner as well. So that seems to be like the major underlying theme of the month of August. We are kicking off the month in not such a pleasant fashion, or not such a smooth fashion, let's use this word instead, with a full moon happening on the 3rd of August in your 1st house, in your sign in Aquarius, squaring Uranus in your 4th house. So, at the time of the full moon, the moon's gonna be in your 1st house, the sun's gonna be in your 7th house, and Uranus is gonna be in your 4th house. So it's like Clash of the Titans here, people. It's like you versus a partner cannot agree to what needs to be done in regards to a family situation or a home-related situation. Or it's an unexpected development in the home place, because there seem to be quite a lot of unexpected developments in the home place in the months to come for you, my dear Aquarius. Is either like taking you away from a partner, or is putting you in a situation where you don't necessarily agree as to what the best course of action is. It may be that your partner needs to move, or it may be that you need to move, or it may be that you can no longer live with each other. I gotta say, if you are in a committed partnership, if you are in a relationship, it may feel like a home-related issue is escalating, and it can really take a bit of a surprisingly disruptive turn. So I urge you not to make like any sort of like sudden moves, although some people might decide around this time to move out of the home that they share with a partner. So that is also very, very possible. You may have like a fallout with a partner related to a matter that has to do with a parent. So there is a strong feeling of like tension, and because at the time of the full moon, all the planets involved are in fixed signs, it's like no one wants to give in. It's like, no. Everyone is so stubborn. And obviously you're not going to get anywhere if you're all stubborn and no one wants to give in. So my recommendation would be to start the negotiations after the tempers have cooled down a little bit. Now, throughout the entire month, Mars, which is going to be in your third house of communication, so you're going to have a very kind of like sharp tongue, Aquarius. Even sharper than usual. Aquarians, a sharp tongue. Never. Us? Never. No. Who is this lady even talking about? So this month, Aquarians, your discourse is going to cut through steel, and it's going to be squaring planets in Capricorn in your 12th house for the rest of the month, but pretty much till the end of the year. Be very careful what you say, Aquarius, because it may be used against you by enemies that you didn't even know you had, with all those planets in like a part of your chart in Capricorn in the 12th house that you can't see. So that's like the definition of hidden enemies. And whatever you say can be used against you. So be careful what you say. Be careful who you open up to. Be careful what you talk about. And be careful what sort of like attitude you have towards people, because you can come across as being very combative, very like ready to jump into a fight. Now, there's also good news, in case you were waiting for them. Mars is going to be trining Leo, which the sun in Leo, in your 7th house from the 4th till the 27th of August. And there is a culmination of this very auspicious kind of like transit, I would say, around the new moon in Leo on the 19th of August, in which is again in a trine with Mars in your 3rd house. So all this sort of like back and forth, all of these like quarrels, all of these like fights with a potential partner may actually lead to, and very likely will lead to, like a new chapter in the partnership, kicking off on the 19th, around the 19th of August, give or take 3 days before or 3 days after. A chapter in which you get along with each other a lot better, in which you have both been a lot more honest. Honesty is very important between the two of you, but it's also important how you deliver the message. So it may feel like you've learned a lot about how the other person communicates. It may feel like you understand each other a lot better, and this seems to kind of like be ushering in a new stage in your relationship around the 19th of August. I would also say, if you can travel, not necessarily long distance, short distance as well, with a partner around the new moon on the 19th, absolutely go for it. Now, for those of you who are not in a relationship, not in a partnership, especially like from a romantic point of view, this aspect may also be related to entering a new phase, a better, a more authentic, a more honest phase of communicating openly with a business partner as well. Now, for those of you who are willing to be in a partnership and who want to be in a partnership and who want to kind of like start a new stage in this area of their chart, I gotta tell you, get out of the house and spend as much time as possible in your community, in your neighborhood. If you can, reconnect with people who you have been like at school with, who you have been like neighbors with, or like grew up in the same kind of like environment, because it seems to me like very possibly, very likely, a potential partner may come from these particular areas. It may be someone who, like I said, you were in primary school with, or even like in high school with, someone who is around you, or who has been around you for like at least the first part of your life, who may be stepping back into your life as a long-term potentially committed partner. So pretty decent turnout of August, right? Now I've got some additional good news. From the 11th of August till the 25th, Venus is going to be in Cancer in your 6th house, trining Uranus in your 4th house. Any sort of work that you do on the home, on like beautifying the home, on possibly like renovating the home, on buying like new furniture for the home, is going to be very satisfactory in nature, is going to be something that you will draw a lot of like enjoyment out of. It might also feel like any sort of like investment that you make in the home is worth it, and it's making your home place much better, and as much as like the family and the home place has been a source of disruption at the beginning of the month, this is all turning around, or it seems to be turning around in the second half of August. So no matter what happens in your home, no matter what breaks down, no matter who you fall out with, you can work on it and you can turn it into something that you are much more pleased with towards the end of the month. It is useful to bring in like a nurturing kind of like a nurturing, emotionally understanding approach. And it's also worth thinking of how the environment that you live in has like a direct effect upon your health and your well-being. And striving to create a home place where you feel safe, you feel secure, and a place that you enjoy spending time in can work wonders for your health, Aquarius. So do not underestimate the importance of having a lovely home or a lovely home setting. Last but not least, I'm gonna say that you're gonna enjoy probably a lot working from home, or like the ability to work from anywhere, I would say. So the fact that you can carry on your work throughout the month of August, wherever you are, regardless of what's happening in the home, regardless of where you find yourself, it's like, I feel so lucky for being able to do what I do from anywhere, really. So, Aquarius, enjoy the month of August. My dear Pisces, I want to thank you for being so patient. I mean, what am I talking about? I bet you jumped to like your part only, and now you know that I add timestamps to my description box. So thank you for coming back. Pisces Sun and Pisces Risings. What is going on for you next month? We have a 12th, 6th house focus. So we have a focus in the month of August on service to others. Service as in work, and also service as in somehow feeling that you need to sacrifice yourself a little bit for others. And there may be an underlying feeling of victimhood, at least at the beginning of August. So let me expand. On the 3rd of August, we've got a full moon happening in Aquarius in your 12th house. This part of the chart is associated with past lives, with the subconscious. It's associated with dreams. It's associated with hidden enemies. It's associated with seclusion, with institutions, with what happens behind closed doors, and what we hide from both ourselves and others. It's also a very spiritual house. So the full moon is activating your 12th house and your 6th house, because the full moon involves an opposition between the moon and the sun. And the moon is going to be in your 12th, and the sun is going to be in your 6th house of day-to-day work and health and service. And they're all going to be squaring, I mean, both of them are going to be squaring Uranus in your 3rd house. Now, the 3rd house I usually associated with news. It's also like the house of communication. It's also the house of like transportation. But generally, when this is activated by a new moon or a full moon, like it's activated now by a full moon, it brings news, right? Uranus brings surprising news. What sort of surprising news? News that is going to rattle you. What are they going to involve? They may involve your health, and you may receive you may feel or you may receive signals that there is a certain like condition like flaring up for you health-wise, and it is something that requires your immediate attention. So it's not something that you can postpone. It's not something that you're like, oh yeah, it's just a little bit of an itch. I don't really mind it. I mean, it's a little bit annoying, but I can deal with it later. No, you're probably going to have to deal with it like ASAP. If the news is not related to your health, it may have like a bit of an impact on your mental health. The reason why I'm saying that is because there may be some unexpected developments happening in your work life that you may not have been necessarily prepared for. And there is a sort of like ending in sight, and you may feel like you are being like the sacrificial lamb, and you might try to like fight back and like use your words and try to like figure out what's going on. But my gut feeling is that there is not that much you can do other than adapt and move on to the next stage. You may be also very disappointed to find out that you've got some people who have been like openly, like out in the open, like supporting you, and in the back kind of like trying to undermine you in the workplace. And you might hear news of that around the 3rd of August. Now, all month, throughout the entire month of August, Pisceans, Mars is going to be in your 2nd house of money and finances and earned income and values, and it's going to be squaring planets in Capricorn in your 11th house. I gotta say this. You might find, or you might feel annoyed. Annoyed is probably the keyword for the first half of August. Then it kind of like, there's a little bit of like excitement coming into the mix, and kind of like, okay, I am still annoyed, but I'm not going to pay that much attention to it because there's good stuff going on. But Mars is going to be making you probably feel quite impatient with your friends and with the groups of people that you belong to, because they seem to be pretty hard to kind of persuade of your value, of your vision, of what you bring to the table. You might actually feel a little bit like unappreciated in this area of your life by people who you considered friends. You might feel like very challenged by your friends and people who you thought like, you should be on my side. Why are you not on my side? So it may even like make you doubt a little bit like your sense of self-worth, and like it may rattle your confidence a little bit, Pisceans. And the truth is always like somewhere in the middle. So you might be tempted to kind of like push back and say, no, what are you talking about? That was never my intention. You do not understand like my view and whatnot. But if you fight back, then you might actually like help them prove their point. So I would be very, very careful as to how you frame this. I would actually recommend not engaging in combat if possible. It's also very possible that if you had made plans for like the months ahead, there are some developments in your financial life that are not necessarily going to plan, and that are not necessarily progressing as fast as you'd want them to. And it's like, push the brake. You can't do this just yet. Hold off. Hold on. There's other stuff to solve first. Now, the good news is that Mars is going to be in your 2nd house, trining the Sun in Leo in your 6th house from the 4th till the 27th of August. So for most of this month, my dear Pisceans, money is going to be flowing your way, right? And you're going to be feeling like in the mood to kind of like win, 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 earn, 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 bring in the cash, bring home the bacon, or whatever else they say. And it does seem like this like influx of money is coming from your day-to-day work. And you have like a lot more energy than you've had in a very long time, Pisces, to like close deals, to win new clients, to talk to people. And yeah, you might encounter some like bureaucratic like hurdles along the way, but that shouldn't put a damper on your enthusiasm, because you can win a lot of business throughout this time frame. Now, there is a new chapter beginning in your day-to-day work life on the 19th of August. And there's a new moon in Leo that is active 3 days before, 3 days after the 19th of August in your 6th house. And around this time, you may feel like, okay, I'm stepping into a new chapter work-wise. All the effort that I've put into this, all the hustle, because this is a month of hustling, has paid off. It's paying off, and you are entering a new stage in your work life. I gotta tell you, if you've been looking for jobs, you may be offered a new job around this time, or you may be offered, like, it's not necessarily a step up, but it's a position with better payment and with better like financial rewards, and it's a position that is consolidating your strengths and your sense of self-worth and what you bring to the table. I have some additional good news, Pisces. Bear with me. So from the 11th of August till the 25th, Venus is going to be in Cancer in your 5th house, and it's going to be trining Uranus in your 3rd house. You're going to have like all the support, and like even more, you're going to have more support than you thought you could have from people around you who love you. They can be romantic partners, they can be your children, but they can also be like people who you feel like a strong love for. I would also say from the 11th till the 25th, you might find that naturally, without you necessarily like doing too much to like create them, there are loads and loads of opportunities for you to like meet people, chat them up, connect, network, and you might actually be forming some very cool and interesting connections and expanding your network. And if you work in any sort of like field that involves selling, that involves transportation, that involves e-commerce, that involves media and communication, boy, are you gonna reap the rewards of this positive aspect, this sort of like smooth aspect between Venus and Uranus. It's like everyone wants to buy what you're selling, Pisces. So absolutely take advantage of that, please. So folks, thank you once again for tuning in. I hope you have enjoyed your August horoscopes. If you are interested in a personalized reading, I offer different types of personalized readings, including the yearly forecast, which is based on your own natal chart with your date, time, and place of birth. And this is the most accurate type of forecast that you can get. Also, if you haven't yet gotten a natal chart reading, I'm telling you, it is like a life-changing experience. So start off with the natal chart reading, and this is also a type of service that I offer to get to know yourself better, to get to build upon the relationship with yourself and build upon the relationship with others, understand your strengths, understand your challenges, understand your karmic lessons, and understand your potential. And then you are the only one who is able to like set their own limits. So for any type of like personalized readings, feel free to get in touch with me through my website, written in the stars-astrology.com. It's also in the description box in case you're interested. If you want to stay up to speed with the various types of like content that I release, follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And have a fabulous August. Make the most of it. Make the most of it, people. Bye.